A school now of the more orthodox kind, although there's not much orthodox about this place of learning. It's one of the nation's newest giant comprehensives and in fact a school of tomorrow for the children of today. This then is Mallory School in Dunne, Kent, intended for 1,650 pupils who can leave or go on to university with no regrets about their school days. Apart from its attractive architecture, the whole approach to learning is enlightened. To an outsider, the most striking feature, apart from the normal academic syllabus, is the magnificent equipment in workrooms like this. In the commerce class, for example, there's no frantic squabbling over one battered old typewriter. They've got a battery of 36 new machines. Similarly, in dressmaking and needlework, the girls are no longer bored by the limitations of a few years ago. At one time, embroidery and crochet work were the only outlets for a student's creative ability. Today's class is a real challenge, and the standard compares with the advanced level evening classes for grown-ups. It's pleasant to reflect that what is exceptional in this school today may be quite commonplace in a few years' time. Undoubtedly, our educational system has come a long way since the days when school was merely a place to play truant from and to leave as soon as one could.
So, school no longer a place to play truant from and leave as soon as one can. A forlorn hope. And what we found in years since that was made, the film, in 1962, which happens to be the year I actually went to secondary school myself, many things have changed. We saw students then using lathes, using typewriters, and all with expectations of using those skills when they left school to get a job. Sadly, it's no longer the case. Lathes have long since been thrown on the scrap heap, engineering jobs have disappeared, manufacturing in the UK is non-existent, and even for girls with a typewriter, well, we can talk into a smartphone and get something produced on a word processor. So skills became redundant, and in many ways, for young people, schools are tended to be seen as fairly redundant places as well. Places they go, they don't enjoy, places where they've got to go take exams that don't seem to bear any good. When they leave school, they can't get a job. They go to university. What happens there? Sadly, we used to say at school, the 3 R's are everything: reading, writing, reasoning. And now university is the 3 Ds: degree, dole, debt. That's the case for over 11,000 graduates who leave university every year. So in many ways, what we're engaged in at this moment in time is the need for a radical transformation to education, but not just education that produces awards for students, education that's linked to jobs, jobs that are linked to the economy that's linked to regeneration, and we rebuild areas, we rebuild social groups, we rebuild inner cities, and we rebuild the UK's position in the global marketplace. I want to share with you another quite frightening statistic. You'll all be familiar with the news items about hoodies hanging around shopping centres. We've seen them in streets. Many of you will have crossed over the other side of a road rather than bump into a group of young people. Rightly or wrongly, young people hanging around are seen as a malaise in our society and are often demonised. So look at this screen behind me now. The issue of NEETs. NEETs is a term that was only coined about 5 years ago by the newspapers, and it stands for Not in Employment, Education or Training, which is the sad fate for many of our young people having left school. It's a fact that today over 1 million youngsters aged between 18 and 26 are out of employment. Now, in many ways that's bad enough because it means that they're not earning, they're not contributing to the UK economy. But far worse than that, they're actually in one of the most dangerous places they could be for their entire life, because it's a scandalous, absolutely scandalous fact that of those young people, 15% will die within 10 years. Now, Just actually think what that means. 15% of those in NEETs will die within 10 years. So if we just accept there are 1 million youngsters who are out of work, 15% of them will die. Why? They don't have work, they get into drugs, prostitution, ill health, don't eat well, poor diets, commit suicide, highest rate of deaths in young men under 24 years of age, and they die. So 15% by anybody's reckoning is 150,000 young people who will die within 10 years of leaving school. Over 10 years, that's 15,000 young people a year. Now, it's easy to say, isn't it, 15,000 young people. We spend billions, not millions, billions on our roads making them safe. We have yellow cameras that flash at us if we speed. And we are told off, and rightly so, because roads are very dangerous. How many people died on the roads last year? 2,800. 2,800. Yeah, 15,000 young people died for no better reason than they were in NEETs. So what we're engaged in here is not just a story about new schools, different ways of doing things. It's about bringing real hope to young people and real purpose. And as it says at the strapline there on the bottom of that slide, saving lives, very real and significant numbers of lives. Dan Brown, with the No List, wants to produce some new academies, very specific new academies with your help. They're for young people, 16 to 18 years of age, with two particular specialisms. One, to look at professional services to support SMEs, small, medium enterprises, which are going to be the backbone of the UK economy for the next 10 to 15 years. We need them to be trained in law, finance, economic issues, marketing, commerce, and HR, so that there are young people entering the job marketplace who've got the skills to support SMEs. And then alongside that, we're looking for partners in commerce and industry with particular specialisms in a locality. It might be a small manufacturing company, it might be a service industry, it might be the potteries, it might be printing, it might be ICT technology. But what we want to do is create small schools for about 400 students. The government will fund the capital development of the buildings. The government will fund the teaching. There's lots of schools, there's lots of buildings, there's lots of teachers. What we need is expertise, and the expertise we need is yours. The CBI, and I'm sure many of you in this room today, will often say, kids coming out of school, what do we do with them? They can't read, they can't write, they can't do the sums that we want, we get them into the workplace, we've got to retrain them, it's very costly, we haven't got the youngsters we need to run our companies. So this is your opportunity to make a difference. This is your opportunity to correct some of those concerns, to work with us, to work with Dan, to work with the No List, to work with the government, and to develop a school in a locality near to you where we can make a difference. We can make a difference to young people's lives, we can keep them alive because they're not going to be in NEETs, and we can help to regenerate an area. I'm not there today, sadly, because I had a silver wedding anniversary, which is one of those things that pops up every now and then, and if you ignore it, you'll never have another wedding anniversary. So what I've had to do today is ask my colleagues who are on the panel in front of you to represent not just me, but my profession, the education profession, to work with you, to answer your questions, to give you some insights, to help you, to advise you about the issues involved in running an academy. David Tuck, who is chairing the panel, is a recent past president of the National Association for Head Teachers, and he'll have spoken to you earlier about the School Aid project. David has represented about 87% of all head teachers in the UK. He knows his stuff, so you can throw anything at him, he should be able to give you the answers. Supporting David is Professor Jonathan Blackledge, who is a particularly gifted computer scientist, a visiting professor for a number of universities, and he will be able to give you a short introduction about the importance of computer science to engineering and the economy moving forward today. Dr. Henrietta Harnish from Wolverhampton University is uniquely both a university leader, but she has already sponsored and opened successfully 4 large academies and the first UTC, University Technical College in the country, which was the Black Country UTC in Walsall. She can give you many insights into what it's like to be a sponsor and proposer for a UTC. We're also favoured today to have Charlotte Bosworth with us. Charlotte is Education Development Director for OCR. OCR is Oxford and Cambridge University and the Royal Society of Arts. And Charlotte works with sponsors and with schools to develop new accredited training awards, GCSEs and vocational awards, which match both student and government needs, but also your needs as commerce and industry. And Charlotte can tell you something about developing these kind of new professional services qualifications we'd like to see in the No List Academy. Glennie Lovell is from PKF, who are one of the most successful project management companies in the UK today. Glennie has been responsible for teams who've opened more than 100 academies, very large ones. She's worked with Dr. Henrietta on the academies in Wolverhampton and Walsall, and can tell you lots of information regarding the legal position of running a school, leases on property, HR matters, personnel, pay, and so on. We'll also have with us today Justin Wilson, who has been Head of Tribal Education and Cambridge Education Associates, who is now one of the Partnership Education Consultants, and is particularly gifted and has expertise in running projects for opening of new academies, but from an education point of view, and can certainly help you with matters related to staffing, pay awards, how do you manage teachers when you're not used to it because you've been running businesses. And finally, we have Jeff Howson, who has set up a number of the regional broadband consortiums, which is the infrastructure that supports education in an IT context within the UK. Jeff is very, very experienced in issues relating to ICT and will be able to help you in that area also. The panel are going to shortly split into little groups, and there'll be 12 to 15 of you, with a few activities and an opportunity to talk in more personal detail about what might be entailed in being a sponsor for an academy before you all come back together for the larger plenary. But let me just tell you this, there are 3 ways in which you can engage. Dan is actually about to put forward a proposal for a school. He's bought a 4-acre plot of land in Birmingham with a light industrial setup and is looking for people to support him to do that. We know a number of you have already expressed an interest from previous meetings at becoming a sponsor. So at the highest level, there may be 4 or 5 of you today who feel you'd like to move forward and sponsor a school. We regard that as Tier 1 engagement, and it will receive our fullest support, and we'll work very closely with you to develop your plans over the coming months. But at the second level, numbers of you are here, you have very good corporate social responsibility projects, you spend a lot of money, but don't necessarily get a lot of bang for your buck. And what we want to offer you is an opportunity to work with us and with Charlotte and OCR to develop project activities which you could support in the academies. Engaging employers is the single most important thing in successfully delivering a new education to students in these schools. If they don't engage with you in the training sense, they will continue to leave school ill prepared for the demands that you have for them in the workplace. So at Tier 2, we're interested in you coming forward and thinking about helping us to produce some projects which can be schemes of work and lesson plans that we can use in the secondary sector. But at the lowest level, you can all engage. At Tier 3, all we're requesting is that you indicate a willingness to occasionally visit schools in your areas and, where appropriate, take the occasional student on work experience into your workplace. Between you, you cover the UK, certainly England and Wales, very thoroughly. And it would be a tremendous boost to the academy school movement and indeed the government's agenda were the no list able to approach Michael Gove and say, we've got 200 leading edge companies on board. We want to engage with you on making a difference in schools. Because making a difference in schools is making a difference to the economy, and more importantly, making a serious difference to the life chances of some young people. And if all goes well, possibly in 10 years, we might save the lives of 150,000 young people. And you don't often get the opportunity to participate in something as valuable as that. So thank you for your attendance today. I really hope that you can engage with us on this. And Dan, who's just about to talk to you and introduce his scheme to you, is very much looking forward to your support. Thank you very much.